Okay, guys, I'm back. That was ridiculous. I'm so sorry about that. For those of you who are just picking up on this live and didn't see what happened on the last 5-minute live that we did, let me fill you in really quick. I tried to go live at 1 o'clock like we normally do, but due to technical difficulties, imagine that, I had to shut everything off and turn everything back on again to get my second camera to work so I could actually do the video where I filmed the tutorial from the top. So here we are. Let's really quick recap what I went over in that first live video, just in case you're just now tuning into this one, or you're watching the replay on this one, because I'm probably going to go back and delete the first one. So today we are going to do a bonus project tutorial. And so let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to do this cool Easter themed Easter Bunny drawstring backpack. So this is not quite finished, but see the cool little ears? There's also this little tail that I just haven't hand sewn on yet. And this tail is super cool. It's like a fuzzy faux fur. So that's cool that I found that. We actually have these available as pre-cut kits with these fuzzy tails, and I'll tell you about those in a little bit. But this is a perfect project to make and gift to a kiddo, or if there's a kiddo in your life that is learning to sew, this is a good project for that. I have put the link to download the pattern to cut out these pieces in the information on this video. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find that in the information below the video. I will go ahead and comment that in the comments as well, because I know those of you that watch in the Facebook group can't really see the description of the video very well. If you're watching on YouTube and want to join the group, you can go here. We post cool stuff and talk to each other in that Facebook group. And then one more thing that we talked about in the first live that went wonky today. Again, don't want to talk about that again. But since we're talking about Easter with our project today, what do you do for Easter? Let me know one cool tradition that you have. When I was a kid, one cool tradition we had was to get little kid-sized Bernstein Bear books from the Easter Bunny. So that was a lot of fun. I'm curious to see what your guys' traditions are. Go ahead and leave them in the comments below. Also, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but we did put together a Easter basket kit, which includes a pre-cut project to make one of these, the tutorial, the pattern, another complete pre-cut project, tutorial pattern, and a bunch of tools. You can find that at sewupbox.com/Easter. If you're interested, there's only 8 of them, guys, and they will ship out within like 2 days of purchase. So if you get them now, it would be a perfect bundle to gift to a kiddo in your life that's learning how to sew, or it'd be an awesome bundle for you to make with that kid in your life. So let's try to get into that tutorial. Here we go. Fingers crossed that it works this time. Let me switch. Now, once you have everything here cut out according to the pattern, the first thing that we're going to do is actually finish the edges of our paracord and any ribbon that you're using so that it doesn't unravel as the bag is used. So if you're using polyester paracord, so not if you're using like a cotton woven cord, but if you're using polyester, you're going to want to take all the edges you cut and burn them. This will melt it together so that it doesn't unravel through use, and you'll be able to just see that. Now, you don't want to let this touch anything really while it's cooling, or that melted polyester will just make marks everywhere. So I usually hold it up and let those cool off a little. Or what you can do is like hang them off the edge of something like that so they don't touch anything. Now the very first end of your paracord in the like the package that you get it in should be burnt, so you can tell it's melted, and we're not even going to deal with that. Now the other thing to do is if you are using polyester ribbon or belting or webbing for your 3-inch pieces, you can see here how it is unraveling. This is because it hasn't been melted. So we're just going to cut off that unraveled part and then melt this just like we did the paracord. And the melting is going to keep it from unraveling. Now these need to cool off as well before you set them anywhere. So sometimes you can just do that and they'll cool off enough to set them down and not make black marks. Cool. Once you have done that, these are ready to use in our next steps, and we can set them aside and our lighter aside. The first thing that we are actually going to do is going to be our ears. So we're going to take these 4 pieces. Remember, you have 4 pieces. I need my pins. And we're going to put them right sides together. And then just pin all the way around. We're going to sew all the way around the entire thing except not the base of the ear, so not this short edge. So don't mind me as I just get this pinned. All right, so we're going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance. You can use a different seam allowance if you want. Just make sure you're using the same seam allowance through the entire project. And also make sure you reverse stitch when you start and end on these, because we're going to turn them right side out through this hole that we're leaving. And we don't want any of that stitching to unravel as we turn it. Now, once you get down to this tip, we can just pivot around. You're going to sew until your needle is about 1/2 inch from this edge that you're going to go sew on next. Use your knob on the right-hand side of your machine to make sure your needle's in the down position. Then you can just pick up your presser foot, and since the needle is through everything, you won't be able to lose your spot in the fabric. And then you can just pivot, press your presser foot back down, and continue sewing. All right, once that's done, go ahead and trim all your thread tails and pull out your pins. And then we're going to do the same thing with the other ear. Now, before we turn these right side out, we need to trim off the very tip here. So we're going to cut that. Make sure you get as close as you can to your stitching without cutting your stitch line. Then we can easily turn these right side out. If you don't have a special turning tool, you can just start this at the bottom, use dull-ended scissors, and use the end of that to push this through. If you don't have dull-ended scissors, you could also use a pen or a pencil. And I'm also going to use this to poke the end of this ear out so that it's actually pokey and will actually look like a rabbit's ear. We're going to do that to both of these ears, and then we're going to press them flat. Oop. Okay, so as you can see, these are kind of having the seam allowances on the edge are kind of like pushing into the center here. So you want to make sure that you've pulled all those seam allowances out so that this ear is as wide as it should be. And you can use your scissors or a pencil to help push that out. See how our shape is different? Once you get that all pushed out, we're going to use the iron to make sure that that holds its shape. Perfect. Now we've got to do this one. Perfect. Now we are going to set these ears aside, and we are going to work with these two small pieces. These are the pieces that are going to be the top part of your bag. They're going to look like this. So what we're going to do first is we're going to fold in 1/2 of an inch on the short edges here. So put your right side down and then fold in 1/2 inch. And then iron this down. I'm going to do that on both sides of both pieces. Now, next, we are going to take these pieces and on the top edges, we're going to fold in about 3 inches down and 1 inch over to make this triangle piece. And that's what that should look like. About 3 inches down and 1 inch in. Perfect. we're going to do next is stitch along all 4 of these edges on the inside of this triangle and then the inside of this fold. Remember to reverse stitch at the beginning and end. Next step is folding down about 1 inch from the top here. 1 or 1.5 inches. I'm going to go with about 1.5. That'll make this bottom edge even with this corner here. Now we're going to stitch along the bottom edge of this fold down here on this raw edge. What this is going to do is this is making the casing for the top drawstring to go through so it can open and close the bag. So definitely remember to reverse stitch on both corners here. I just used a straight stitch here on the bottom. If you prefer and want to finish this raw edge at the same time here at the bottom where we folded, you can use a zigzag stitch and encase that so that it won't unravel. Now we have only one more, well, actually 3 more steps left, but we are very close to the end. So first we're going to take one of these big pieces and you're going to measure in about 4 inches from each edge. And you're going to place the center of these ears on the 4-inch mark. We're going to pin just to the center to hold it in place. But one thing that I like to do to give this a little bit more lifelike of a shape is I like to also fold in one edge. You can also fold in both edges like this to give like a circle ear shape if you like. Or you can always leave them flat. People will still know that they're bunny ears. Once we get that pinned, we're going to take one of these and place it right side down with the edge that we haven't sewn yet along that end. We're going to pin that in place, and then we will sew along this top. That's going to sew in the ears and sew the top and the bottom together at the same time. But I'm not going to do that quite yet because I'm also going to pin this piece to this big piece as well. Then I can just sew both at the same time. There we go. Now, if you want to finish these edges as well, you can sew a straight stitch and then come back and zigzag stitch along these edges. Once these pins get pulled out, we are almost done. And we're just going to open this up and iron this bottom piece up. So we want to iron this so that the seam allowance points up. Now this is going to be important because that's how we make sure that the ears lay pointing down. If we tried to iron it the other way, the ears would try to point up, which wouldn't work very well. Now once that's done, we're going to grab these two pieces of ribbon that we had from before. We're going to have one of these facing right side up, and we're going to fold this ribbon in half and point it in towards the center. We're going to go about 2 inches up from the end of this corner curve here and pin the center of this at 2 inches. Again, fold in half, find our 2-inch mark, make sure that it's even with the other side, and pin in place. Now, if you have a tail pom-pom that you want to sew on with your sewing machine, you can put that on now, but I'm going to do mine by hand because I'm not really sure how to sew a pom-pom on with the sewing machine, so we're going to save that until the end. All right, so now we're going to sandwich these, so right sides together, and we're going to line up this top and all the edges. Once we sew these, we're going to go from here all the way around to here. Do not sew on these diagonal parts. That will close the part and we won't be able to put in the drawstring. But you do want to sew on these straight parts up here, even though we sewed them over once. The reason we had to sew them over once already was just to make it so that we could roll this over again without getting super weird and get that finished for the drawstring to go through. All right, one last step and we're finished. Can you see the finish line? I'm so excited. I just need to pull out these pins and then we're going to turn this thing right side out. So I'm just going to reach in here and grab the bottom and turn this right side out. And then use my hand to come in here and push this seam all the way to the edge, because we're actually going to want that to look like a bunny's bottom instead of a weird bag. Now what we're going to do is take our 2 pieces of paracord or cording, and we're actually going to string this in an interesting way. It's not the way that I thought these were strung. Let me go get my cording stringing tool because I forgot it. So hang on a second, guys. So what I like to do is just stick that in there. See, it doesn't come out. And I just use it like a big needle. So what we're going to do is go through, here we go, so you can see it, through this side of this tubing with this, and then back through this side. So I'm going through this top side of the tubing with this guy. Then I'm going to lace it back through this bottom, this other end of the tubing that we made. All right, then we're going to take one end of these. This is the same string, and we're going to put it through the bottom or through this little loop here. Put these 2 together and tie a knot. So we're just going to tie a knot like this. And there's our one side. And again, just so that you guys can see how it's done, we're going to go in this side on the top. Okay, and then out the other side. Oh, I'm stuck on something. There we go. So now we've got 2 ends of the same string over here. And then we'll put one end through this bottom loop. And then tie this knot. So put both together, make a curl, and then come up the back side through the hole. Now, since we went and both these, and these are from, like these 2 are from the same string as these 2, that's what allows us to scrunch this top closed. When I first did this, I thought that we needed to make the string go that way instead of go this way. So if you try to pull these and they don't close, go ahead and watch this last part again. Okay, so all that is left is to put this little bunny tail on here. we're going to center it in between these two spots and hand sew it on. I hope you guys had so much fun. I'm very glad that I was able to get my second camera working today. Sorry again about the mess up on the first live video that we tried for today. But how cute is this bunny bag? Yes, I need to put the tail on still, but hey, super cute, right? And it took under a half hour for us to make, so that's always a plus. Like I mentioned before, we do have a collection of items that we put together just for an Easter basket, and here you can see them. So this Easter basket is going to come with two pre-cut kits. One of them is going to be for this bunny project, and it's going to include that really cool faux hair bunny rabbit tail. And then it's also going to include a pre-cut kit for a travel pillow. That was actually a really popular pre-cut kit that we released last year. And then whoop, on this side, you can see all the cool tools and stuff that we're going to put into this kit as well. The retail value on this is like $67 or something like that. And the cost is only, I think, $54.99 for this whole shebang right here. So you're going to want to get on that if you want to get one, because we only have 8. I only have 8 of these. So once the 8 are gone, they're gone. If you want to grab it, you can go here, sewwhatbox.com/Easter. Again, I've only got 8 of these, so you're going to want to nab your Easter collections while you can, and get some awesome sewing going for Easter. But if you just want to make one of these with the own fabric that you have at home, you can look in the description of this video, or I posted in the comments if you can't find the description. I know sometimes it's hard on Facebook, especially in the Facebook group. The link to get the downloadable pattern so you can get all these pieces cut out, and then you can make your own bag. I'm so glad that you guys joined us today. Go ahead and share this video with any of your friends that would really like to make a cool project for Easter, and let's share the sewing love, guys. Okay, so go ahead, if you're watching the replay or anything and you have questions, go ahead and leave a comment below, and I will get on those, answering those questions for you as I see them come through. If you comment and for some reason I don't get an answer, especially on Facebook, sometimes it doesn't let me know that there was a comment. Feel free to shoot a message to the Sew What Box Facebook page, and I would be more than happy to answer. All right, guys, I'm going to sign off for now. I hope that you had so much fun, and I'll see you next week on Wednesday at 1 p.m., hopefully without any technical difficulties.